following podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. Like what you hear? Want more of it ad-free, uncensored, and earlier? Sign up today at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and start getting more for as little as $2 a month.
Don't miss your favorite superstars take center stage to forge the future of the hottest new brand in WWE.
Welcome to Forging the Future, your home for NXT and more at WrestleMedia.ca. I am the Jeff Dehan, and I've kind of been playing musical co-hosts lately, and this week is no different. But it's not someone you've heard with me before, which is always fun. See, a couple weeks ago, I was listening to We Have Till 5 with Andrew Kent and a good friend of his, Cole Miller, and at one point, Andrew, he took umbrage with something that was said with Cole bringing up NXT, and Andrew was saying, it was his shtick. To which Cole then responded, well, you never know, I could replace you. They might like me better. So without further ado, it's Miller time. My co-host this week, Cole Miller. How you doing, sir?
I am doing well. Looks like I'm 2 weeks in and already replacing all of Andrew's shows, so can't complain about that.
Exactly, and I'm sure you haven't heard It's Miller Time like a million times in your life, but I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I'm a dad, so it gives me an excuse to make the dad jokes, right? So.
Most of the people I hang out with don't actually drink or know beer, so it's kind of I haven't heard that one very often.
Oh, well, that's good. I also don't drink, which kind of makes it almost even more lame that I made
that
joke. But whatever. What are you going to do, right? Interesting note. I actually kind of figured, since you're good friends with Andrew, that you would have been, in that North Bay area where a lot of our hosts are, but you're actually a lot closer to my neck of the woods. See, I live in Orangeville.
Okay.
So, and you're around the Jurassic Park, as it's been known lately, Raptor Central, in Toronto, the Six, as the kids are calling it these days.
As the Youts have named it.
Them Utes. Yeah.
Them Youts. I lived in North Bay for 4 years while I did my undergrad at Nipissing, and then moved down to Toronto for grad school.
Right on. Well, look at you, Mr. Educated.
Yeah. Yeah, it never ends.
Tell me about it. So, you had a good week? How's your week been?
It's been pretty good. Doing some work over the summer. I work at a church down in the city, so figuring everything out for summer events. And
I guess, you're getting, considering, university academic year is a lot different than like high schools and stuff. You're getting right into the thick of your summer coming up, right? So you got to start thinking about it, that whole transition, and everything's kind of just changing up.
Yeah, classes end in the end of April, so I've been going since then pretty much with work and summer things. It's weird that summer isn't actually the summer for me.
Well, it's Canada. We can get all 4 seasons in one day. So.
Oh yeah, seasons don't actually matter. Like that's what we realized.
Exactly. It's like Andrew Kent on Forging the Future. It just doesn't matter anymore.
It just sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. It just depends on what's happening.
I'm not going to slag him that much, though. I mean, let's be honest. Dude is just like crazy busy. He's selling cars left and right, getting ties cut in half. I mean, he's a busy cat, so I don't blame him. And to any listeners who do miss him, he misses you too. It was not an easy decision for him to kind of step away from Forging the Future. And that's not to say that he won't be back. It's just, it is difficult for him to find the time, as it is for any of us. I mean, he's got 2 shows. I've only got 1, and half the time it's not easy for me. So I appreciate you, Cole, taking the time.
Yeah.
As for me this week, it's been a very John Moxley week for me, between podcasts, because I was on vacation last week, so I didn't have my commute to work for a week, so I didn't listen to a lot of podcasts, so I had to catch up. So I caught Jericho's podcast with Moxley.
Yeah,
and
that was a good one.
The Pro Wrestling Torch with Wade Keller had a 2-parter big interview with Moxley as well.
I haven't heard that one yet.
All were excellent. Check it out. He actually specifically went out of his way, Keller did, to not necessarily talk about the same things he did on Jericho's podcast.
Okay.
Or like if he did, it was elaborating. Like he basically listened to Jericho's podcast and used that as a tool to ask him things. So you're not going to get a rehash of the same stories. So it's definitely worth checking out those two as well. And just before we came on, I actually watched the match from New Japan, Moxley versus Juice Robinson.
Yeah, I watched that while I was watching the Raptors game on Wednesday.
Nice.
I was with a bunch of people. I just had it on my phone. No sound. Just had to check it out right away.
Yeah. Good stuff. I'm not going to go too in depth with it because it's
that's other people.
Exactly. It's a little bit out of our wheelhouse. Plus, I know Danny and Mike are probably going to want to talk a lot about it. Chances are Adam will on the Wrestling Show. And we do have a lot of overlap and crisscrossing. I mean, everything is wrestling and wrestling is everything, as we say around here. But for anyone who listens to every show on WrestleMedia, I don't want to, beat a dead horse and have the same subjects be talked about. So maybe we'll just jump right into it. We'll start talking some NXT and a little bit of AEW as we do here on Forging the Future. Where do I want to start? I'm going to start on some recent news. In fact, something that just happened today, at least as of this recording. It'll be a couple days ago for those of you listening. Super Showdown, the ever controversial Saudi Arabia shows that happen with WWE.
It's a disaster.
Not that I necessarily care about these to begin with, but I cared so little about this one. Mostly because I'm like, Goldberg versus Undertaker. You're 16 years too late. Like, I can't care one bit. And I get that someone like Matt Sukram was super excited about this because, once they finally did something about it on Raw and SmackDown, I'm like, that's great. But it's hard to get excited when they're basically going to look like one of the NES video games where it's just going to be punch, kick, punch, punch, kick, punch, kick, choke slam, spear,
headbutt.
Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't actually watch the match, but with all due respect to both guys, especially Undertaker, who's, a legend and could go. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of Goldberg because his repertoire was always so simplistic. But neither one of them are spring chickens, to say the least, at this point, right?
No. Wasn't it Goldberg when he did his last run, he refused to take any bumps in training? Mm-hmm. I think I heard that they sent somebody, Mike Kanellis, wasn't it? Didn't they send Mike out? No. Who did they? I don't know. They sent one of their...
There's a few guys. I know Curtis Axel has done that with Brock Lesnar before.
Yeah. They shipped a ring and a guy out, and he's like, nah, I'll pass.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
No.
just when you thought Brock Lesnar was like one of the laziest guys in wrestling. Nope. And I shouldn't even say that.
Refused to take a bump in training.
I shouldn't even say that about Brock. It's not that he's lazy. It's just he's very selective about when he wants to work. But yeah, maybe Goldberg's one of those guys where he performs, when the red light is on, so to speak. That's entirely possible.
Or when the green light is on, meaning pieces of green that they're giving him.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I didn't care about that match. I
heard that he knocked himself out. That's all I've heard. He sent out a tweet saying that he's not ashamed. What did he say? He's disappointed with his performance.
Oh, not surprising. The only thing I saw about this was some Instagram posts from Matt Riddle making fun of him. Because apparently Goldberg busted himself open before the bell even rang to start the match. So I'm guessing during his entrance, whenever he does all his flailing around, he must have hit himself or something, maybe. I mean, at least Sandman had an excuse when he'd bust himself open, right? He had a beer can that he'd smash on his face.
The last time he headbutted the locker.
Oh, that's right. Oh.
Yeah, he tweeted, "Knocked myself out and thought I could finish. Love my fans, but let you down. Everyone else that found pleasure. Hope you're happy." So, not sounding good for him.
No, well, he was basically retired, let's be honest. The only reason he probably did this show is because they, gave him a truckload of money, which they can get away with doing with these shows. But the main reason I bring up Super Showdown is that they had the biggest battle royal in WWE history, 50 men, much like the greatest Royal Rumble, where they had a 50-man Royal Rumble match. This one was just a battle royal, and it was won by an NXT superstar. So that's
really?
Yes. You'll be a lot less surprised when you find out who. It was Mansoor, who is of Saudi Arabian descent.
Oh my goodness, I was wondering why they were pushing him in the past couple weeks. Now,
Yep. Suddenly it all makes sense.
Oh dear. Like, he showed up 2 weeks ago, I think, and it was like, who is this guy? I never heard of him before, and now, so...
Mm-hmm. I had seen him a couple of times sporadically, the same way you do, like, Luke Menzies and guys like that. But yeah, the last couple weeks obviously were bigger, and this is probably why. That being said, I like the dude. He's impressed me when I've seen him in the ring. But to have him win this battle royal is absolutely purely for his ethnicity. And I'm not going to complain about it necessarily because, I'm not the one signing WWE's checks for these events. Let's be honest here. If the Saudi Arabian prince or whatever said, here's some more money, we want WrestleMania here, you're getting WrestleMania Jeddah. Let's be honest. And the first event was called the Greatest Royal Rumble. So it was technically a Royal Rumble, but it couldn't just be anyone. It had to be the greatest one. So that's the thing. I don't blame them for having him win. And he's a great talent. Mostly I'm bringing this up because it's a fantastic opportunity for him. It's a great rub. Again, I never watched the match because I'm not real keen on these shows for various reasons, not just the kind of socio-political stuff, but other reasons as well. But I'm happy he won.
Yeah, we'll see if anything comes from it.
It's true. It could entirely be like, you won, but that was on that side of the world, so we're just going to pretend it didn't happen over here.
Those shows don't really count.
Yeah, so I don't even know if Braun Strowman still has that ugly championship that he won at the Greatest Royal Rumble last year.
Oh, he did. Once again,
maybe
I didn't care about it
to
then.
Keep it or something.
It's probably in the prince's house somewhere.
Yeah. There you go.
Along with everything else that he got from it.
Telling his house guests that he won it.
Yeah.
That was mine. Yep. I beat everybody else in that match. But, although Shane did get to bring the trophy back, so you never know. I guess we'll see. I don't know if Mansoor even won anything for this battle royal or just he won the battle royal. Cool moment afterwards, though. Again, I only saw this on social media. A nice little handshake exchange between Mansoor and Ali. So I thought that was cool. So.
Where is Ali from?
I think he's, is it Pakistan descent? I don't want to assume. I should know because I am a fan of Ali, so I'm going to look it up while I ramble to try and kill time.
I saw that he is donating all of his earnings from this. He did tweet that out, so that's really...
I saw that too. I thought that was super, super cool. American-born...
Pakistani.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Okay, yeah, so that's contentious.
Sure, so now, I'm not going to pretend that I was any good at geography to know how close those two are geographically, but it was as someone who's a big fan of Ali, and I'm becoming a fan of Mansoor from what I've seen of him. I just thought that was a cool moment. And again, the tweet you mentioned from Ali about donating all of his earnings from this show to, I believe it was at Charity Water was the tag that he put for it. Total class act. I've got nothing but respect for Ali. People have kind of verbally attacked like his wife on social media, and he has never been anything less than a class act. Like, this dude is one of the nicest people like I've seen in professional wrestling, you know, when it comes to just like how he handles things. And if you've ever heard interviews with him, like, I mean, he's kind of had to deal with a lot of this for a lot of his life because he is American born, you know, so, but just total props to him. I know he's not an NXT guy, so again, we're kind of stepping out of the wheelhouse a little bit, but how can you not bring up something like that? It's, you know, just total coolness on his part. So, all right, we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about some AEW. We don't have a lot of AEW news this week, but this one actually ties into NXT, surprisingly enough. At TakeOver, did you watch TakeOver?
I did watch TakeOver this week.
You remember that moment where they got a shot of Stephanie McMahon in the crowd? It was kind of midway through the show. If you were skimming, that's fine. It was one of those token things. They always do that.
I think I saw a post about it, but like I didn't actually see the moment when it was happening.
Okay, yeah. Well, you know how it's the same thing they do at every TakeOver. They'll have like the previous one. I guess War Games was the last one. They had Edge and Beth Phoenix were in the crowd. You know, they do that every single TakeOver. Well, this time it was Stephanie McMahon. The funny thing is, there was another wrestling personality in the shot. AEW wrestler Dr. Britt Baker.
I did see that.
Which is funny. I mean, on one hand, I'm like, oh, WWE, you know, you got like the competition in your shot. Is that really smart? And then I kind of realized, I'm like, oh, Britt Baker, you got in the shot sitting in the stands at the competition. Not good. I don't know if she'll be punished or if anything will come of it. I mean, she was obviously there, you know, in support of her boyfriend, Adam Cole, Bebe. So I understand why she was there. I don't know why she wasn't backstage.
Unless Vince Russo is right. No, he's not, but yes.
Bro. Yeah.
They're in cahoots.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch that video. I just couldn't do it. It was...
No. Oh, me either. Oh, Vince Russo. But yeah, so it's one of those things, because I mean, like, I know you haven't been watching for very long, but there was a tag team in WWE at one point called the Highlanders. Kind of similar to the Viking Raiders, although more like Scottish. Like, I think one of their finishers was called like the caber toss or something like that. Well, one of them, by the name of Robbie McAllister, was caught on camera in the crowd at a TNA show before they changed to Impact Wrestling, and he was promptly fired. So I definitely don't see this being a big deal for AEW. I don't think they're going to necessarily care. It might be different a few months from now once they have their TV deal. They probably won't want something like this to happen. But right now, especially considering Britt Baker's coming off of a huge win for herself at Double or Nothing, I don't see a lot coming from this, but it's just like, why weren't you backstage? I mean, even if you wanted to watch, you could have watched from like kind of behind the commentary table area, because people aren't over there and the camera's not going to catch you.
But I don't, like, it might have been one of those things where she just bought a ticket or was given a ticket by Adam Cole and wasn't aware that they were going to be shooting that angle.
It's true, because I mean, had it not been for Stephanie McMahon sitting there, I mean, you wouldn't have any kind of crowd shots. You're not going to know it's her unless they specifically put the camera on her. And this obviously was something for Stephanie. Like, I didn't even actually notice her the first time. It wasn't until the story broke that I actually went back and checked out that moment, and that's where I saw it. I don't think WWE would have allowed her to be backstage. Like, I think that would have been more contentious from the company. It's hard to say when, yes, it's competition, but it's also someone's significant other. Like,
It would have been an iffy situation, I'm sure.
Like, I could be wrong, but I think I remember hearing an interview with Peyton Royce when she said at WrestleMania, after her and Billie Kay won the women's tag championships, she went back through the curtain and like was hugging people, and she's like, and I saw my husband and I hugged him and everything. And her husband, for anyone who doesn't know, is Sean Spears, aka the former Ty Dillinger. And at this point, he had already left the company. But this was also while he was still in his no-compete clause, so this was before he was announced for Double or Nothing. So it might have been okay because he hadn't been announced yet.
Yeah, because he wasn't wrestling for anybody at that point, so he wasn't considered competition.
Like it's really hard to say. Like, I mean, if they were to have a WWE event in Vegas, I mean, don't you think like Jon Moxley would at least, go and see his wife?
If she's with the company for much longer.
And it's true. Well, here's the thing. The way I look at it with Renee Young is, if she leaves the company, it's going to be on her terms, because the thing is, announcing staff, they don't have contracts the way wrestlers do. There's no competes or anything. She can literally walk in and say, by the way, I quit, and she's gone. That's it. They can't say a thing. So and considering she's, at least when it comes to the main roster, she's their only female commentator and pretty beloved by a lot of fans, they're probably going to want to make her happy. So I don't see them jeopardizing that. And I guarantee you, and I almost hate saying this because I know everybody says this, but if she were to leave WWE, I'm sure she would easily have a home in AEW. Maybe not at the desk, although it wouldn't hurt for her to take Alex Marvez's place. But even if not at the desk, she could be a backstage announcer person or whatever. But as much as I love AEW, it is a pet peeve for me when someone's like, someone asked for the release. They want to go to AEW, or they should go to AEW. Just because AEW is like, funded by a billionaire doesn't mean they should sign everybody.
No, they won't. I was looking at something today, and they were talking about how the roster of AEW is already like crowded and not enough room for all the people they're signing. So people are like, oh, we don't want this person to go to AEW because there's no room for them right there.
Exactly.
Oh, it was TJ Perkins because he signed with
Impact.
Impact.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, it's a good thing that he didn't sign with AEW because they wouldn't have used him.
And that's one of the biggest issues WWE has, is an over-bloated roster. So you don't want to see AEW go the same route, especially when they only have one TV show a week to showcase people. So.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily have to have the same people on every week. Like, that's one thing. I think AEW is probably going to do similar to what like Lucha Underground did. And I know you might not have watched Lucha Underground.
I watched, I think, like the first season, and then I'm like, okay, that's enough.
Okay, so you saw enough episodes to know that they didn't necessarily have the same people on every single week, and that enabled them to have more storylines and stuff like that, because unlike some companies, they actually gave credit to their fans to be able to remember a storyline even if it wasn't on every single week.
Well, it's the same with NXT.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly.
Most people, they go on a 3-week rotation, I believe, because they do 3 filmings at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have somebody come on 2 shows in a row because they're filmed one right after another, which would be strange.
Exactly. And, you'll have, but at the same time, you'll have this set of people, for this set of tapings, and then someone might come in for a different set. So it does fluctuate a lot. Like, the NXT roster is a lot bigger than I think people realize, because they're constantly signing people. And what's interesting, I want to get out to an NXT house show one of these times, because you see a lot of people on the house shows that you don't actually see on TV for a long time, prior to, because the house show loops are where they really cut their teeth for a lot of people, and where they test out the gimmicks and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting, when I eventually get to an NXT house show.
I want to go down to Full Sail.
To have a that, and to have a tour of the Performance Center. Both of those would just be cool. But I would love to actually be part of a taping and be at Full Sail. I think that would be awesome. My
friend was at Full Sail when they were doing the Cruiserweight Classic. So he got to see that.
Lucky.
Yeah. With it was Cedric Alexander's first match. He was for that one.
Oh, right on. Well, good for him. So.
Hey, this is a commercial for patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca, where you can get early access to episodes of your favorite WrestleMedia shows, get full uncut and uncensored versions of your favorite shows, and more. Don't want to hear this commercial on your podcast anymore? Sign up at our main event tier and get these episodes ad-free. Want to hear your own commercial here instead of ours? We've got tiers for that too. Visit patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca and join the WrestleMedia revolution today.
One thing we will be a part of, though, TakeOver Toronto.
Yes, we will.
And I suppose, since this is the first time I've kind of been face-to-face with you, at least through a computer screen, I should say thank you, since we're responsible. You're responsible for getting our tickets. So, much appreciated, good sir.
Oh, no problem. I used... It was my dad's American Express business card. He graciously let us use it to get the pre-sale.
Well, thank you, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, very happy about that one. Don't even know what the show is, but the last TakeOver was great.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't even know, but I'm hoping we'll get to see... There's one person that hasn't been on a TakeOver yet that I'm hoping might make his TakeOver debut at this one, and that's Keith Lee. He's one of my favorites right now on the roster, so I would love to see him live. I think that would be cool. So even if it's like they did this time and he's in one of the television matches that they tape beforehand, I'll still be able to see him live, so that'll be cool. So I got my fingers crossed for that. But
it'll be interesting to see where Tyler Breeze is at that moment.
Exactly.
Because that's a new thing.
Yes, it is. You know what? I had it in my Tales for the PC, but we're going to jump ahead a little bit because I do want to talk about this. It is. I mean, it was mentioned, on here before that Triple H had said, he considers him an NXT guy. But after TakeOver, we got a video from Tyler Breeze, more or less confirming that, saying, hey, he gave props to Velveteen Dream, did a great job and everything, and he was the better man tonight and everything. But Tyler Breeze isn't done with NXT and, yada, 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 and similar stuff like that. But I'm really curious to see where he goes now. And I don't mean... Is
this the first person who has actually come back?
Yes and no. First person in a long time, but not the first person, period. For a TakeOver? For a TakeOver, maybe. I know Cesaro was back for a while. He actually had a long-standing feud with Sami Zayn, but I don't know if they fought on a TakeOver. I think it might have only been on television. So to actually come back and make his NXT re-debut on a TakeOver, and the crowd was hot for him, man. They were happy to see him, and I got to admit, and we're going to talk about this more later as well. We're going to talk a lot about TakeOver, which will probably be the Patreon part of the show. So obviously, if you want to hear us talk all about TakeOver 25, you know what you got to do, kids. Patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca. That is how you're going to get the whole show uncut, and you'll hear everything. But we'll give you a little taste right now. He seemed really just kind of reinvigorated in this match to me.
It was cool to see because the Fashion Police was hilarious and great. I loved every minute of that. Mm-hmm. But you didn't see much match stuff from him. And it was also really interesting to see the crowd because when he was on the main roster, the crowd didn't really care about him, and there wasn't much of a pop for when he was around, but he came down to NXT and the crowd once again loved him. It was it's a completely different group of people.
It is. Well, the thing is with the NXT TV tapings is because they're always at Full Sail, there's a lot of the same people. That's one thing I've learned over the last year or two that I've been watching NXT more regularly. You see a lot of familiar faces. There's this one dude,
front row,
sitting right front row, right in the middle, dead center of the hard cam.
Yeah,
and you see him every week. Izzy is another one who was like that Bayley super fan from a couple years ago when Bayley was still in NXT. I don't know if she goes every week, but you still see her once in a while. So it's a lot of the same people. So I'm sure there's a lot of people who remembered when Tyler Breeze was in NXT. So it really was kind of a homecoming for him. You know, it's not a step down like some people do believe, where it's like, oh, he's getting brought back down to the minors, but people don't realize maybe he's getting brought back down there to, you know, expound on his wealth of knowledge, to help train and teach the guys and girls that are coming up. I mean, obviously not going to wrestle women, but still he can give advice and stuff like that. You know, like, it's not, they can have their promo classes and their stuff with their coaches and everything, but it's different when you're going out on a house show loop and having matches with guys who have been on the main roster, who can sit here and tell you, yeah, this is what it's like when you get up there, when you've got TV and, you know, your bigger pay-per-views, and this is what it's like to wrestle on WrestleMania, you know, and stuff like that. So I definitely don't consider this a step down. In fact, if anything, it makes me happy that I actually get to see him wrestle, you know, more now than he has in the last 6 months. Yeah. Basically, as soon as Fandango went down with the injury, he was off. He was on main event, jobbing to whoever.
I don't think I've ever watched an episode of Main Event, actually.
I can probably count on one hand the amount I've watched and still have enough digits left to hold a cup of coffee. So it just goes to show you how much Main Event I have watched. But speaking of takeovers, here's another thing that's kind of interesting. WWE announced their second NXT UK takeover, TakeOver Cardiff. The interesting thing is that it's taking place on August 31st. Do you know what else is happening on August 31st, Cole? There's
yes, that's who is it that somebody else has a big pay-per-view over there.
Somebody else who's pretty elite.
Is it an AEW?
It's
pay-per-view?
All Out, taking place in Chicago.
Is it All Out? Oh,
yep. Oh, it's All Out. Another interesting fact, and this is the part that's really interesting. Another big wrestling company has a big event that same day. New Japan Pro Wrestling has Royal Quest. This is even more interesting because if you're a big wrestling fan and you like AEW and WWE, you can watch TakeOver Cardiff, and then you can watch All Out, because All Out's in Chicago, and TakeOver is obviously, well, in Cardiff. So it's in Europe. So, you know, you can catch both because of the time difference. Royal Quest is happening in London. It's like maybe 4 hours away from Cardiff. That's the funny thing. To put it into perspective, that would be like WWE having TakeOver Toronto and New Japan having a show in Ottawa.
Yeah,
that's basically it. And the thing is, Triple H had said during his post-TakeOver media call that this TakeOver, like they had scheduled this like back at WrestleMania time. You know, so the fact that it's the same day as All Out is coincidence. And that's possible. But apparently New Japan had Royal Quest booked like in March. So Royal Quest was booked first. And the rumor has it from a good buddy of mine and one-time host of this show, Aaron Rakowski. A lot of his info comes from the Wrestling Observer, so I'm assuming this is where he got this info, but it is just an assumption, so I'm just prefacing with that. But rumor has it that WWE looked at the company
ticket sales,
and the company that handles the ticket sales, and there was only like 2,000 sold. So they're like, oh, okay. But I guess what they didn't know is because it's a different country than what New Japan usually deals with, they also dealt with a second ticket company.
Yes.
And apparently there was like another 5,000 seats that were already sold. So they booked TakeOver Cardiff thinking that nobody was going to the New Japan show, and, well, guess what? People are going to the New Japan show.
Well, and I also heard that there is a huge rugby match that day as well.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah, like it's whoever made this plan. So the people who watch rugby are going to be watching that. The people who are New Japan fans and Progress fans are going to be going to that. NXT came in the end, I think.
Ooh.
Like, I just think it's really bad. They thought they could get one over on New Japan coming in and taking fans, and it just didn't. I don't know if it's going to pan out for them.
Oh, this is not good. I didn't know about the rugby thing.
Yeah, that's what I heard of.
Even like TV views, well, I guess network views, because it's a takeover, might not be great. Because think about it, if it's all out, we already know StarCast 3 is taking place that weekend, and they offer like packages to watch everything, all the panels and everything from StarCast on Fight TV. So there's a lot of people who might be spending that day watching their phones and not watching TakeOver Cardiff. So, this is not good. And
no,
this could be bad, like, in the long run, because if this takeover doesn't work, this might stall future takeovers, which might in turn stall this entire NXT, like, territory plan that they have. And that's not good, because word has it that a big selling point for Walter to sign with NXT UK is that he would be the head guy in NXT Europe when it got like underway in a few years.
Oh.
So if the whole territory thing kind of gets put on hold, then there's no NXT Europe, which means you have an unhappy Walter.
Nobody wants an unhappy Walter.
No. I still don't really know how he's so over with the fans, but that's just me.
I think he's a local guy, and I think everybody loved him on the indies over there. Like, that's the only way I can explain it.
I guess it'd be the same thing as like someone being over here and then going to Japan or going over there or something, and them being like, what's with this guy?
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah, I suppose that's true. But, man, this is a mess.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like at this point they're almost better off to cut their losses and just say, okay, you know what? We're going to move TakeOver Cardiff to, like, 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
It'll be on a Saturday, so it doesn't even matter if it interferes with a WWE pay-per-view, as long as it's not one that also has a North American takeover, which they're not going to have that issue if they do it in September or earlier in August. You know, so they can move it up like a week or two one way or the other. Because this is like, the AEW thing was one thing. Like, I got a chuckle out of that, but I'm like, people can still watch both. I didn't know about Royal Quest, and I didn't know until talking to you about this rugby game, and we know how.
It's the
such a mess.
Wales versus Ireland Rugby World Cup warm-up game.
Oh, even if it's a warm-up game, it's a Rugby World Cup warm-up game?
For Wales.
And
So it's the local team in a major game. And they're saying that, like, the problem isn't even going to be them losing fans. It's, think about all the people who are going to be in the city for that game. Congestion and transportation and all of this stuff is going to be a mess.
I don't mean to laugh at someone else's misfortune, but come on, people, you done goofed here. You thought you could pull one over on New Japan.
Yeah. The rugby game is in the same place, and the stadium holds 73,000 people. That's how many. Oh no! Wait, that's how many they're expecting at this game.
Oh, and it's like in the same area.
Same area. Oh. So all those people are going to be in hotels, taking transport. Like, it's.
Oh, wow!
Somebody did not do their research and is having Triple H yell at them right now.
Like, the amount of egg that is on someone's face right now. Holy crap. This is just... This is even bigger than I thought when I brought this up. Like, this is insane. How do you make this kind of mistake?
I don't know. Like, they didn't even know that the rugby match was happening, I think.
Well, probably. They were probably literally only focusing on New Japan, and obviously they weren't focusing very hard considering they kind of screwed up there, too. I am dumbfounded. I have no words. This is ridiculous. Actually, you know who I do feel bad for? I feel bad for the workers. I feel bad for the roster, because they're quite possibly going to wind up wrestling in front of like a much smaller crowd than they're expecting for what would be a takeover. And I'm sure the venue is not huge. I remember TakeOver Blackpool, the venue didn't look huge, and I get it. That's totally fine. But yeah, like, I feel bad for whoever's going to be wrestling at this if it's not going to be a big crowd.
Yeah.
And I worry now that what's going to happen, because Europe loves its rugby. So
yeah,
almost as much as they love their football. So,
well, it's going to be a completely different kind of thing when they move over there, because they love their rugby and their soccer or football or whatever they want to call it.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah, they are diehards for those sports. So when WWE enters that area, they're going to actually need to look into the schedules and all of these things and make sure that they're not competing with these, because they're going to lose. Yeah,
and I think that's the thing, because it's a lot different sports that are popular in North America compared to over there. So they're probably used to, when they're planning things here, okay, we don't want to interfere with the NBA or, Monday Night Football or whatever. But over there, it's rugby, it's soccer, I guess cricket's big over there probably, right? I think.
More in England, not in mainland, I don't think.
Okay, fair enough.
They have a bunch of other sports though.
But still, it's completely different set of sports that you need to be looking into when you're scheduling these things.
Yeah.
So to have them not, and it's not like they don't have a bunch of Europeans on the roster they can ask the opinion of. Yeah. Hey, Drew, do you think it's smart for us to book this over here? There's a rugby game. No. Yeah, it would be like,
I can't even think of a comparison right now, but coming out, planning something in Toronto on the same day as unlike tonight, actually.
Yeah.
With the Raptors playing tonight, you're going to lose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you look at how much this city is bleeding like red and purple right now. Is that still the Raptors colors? Sorry, I don't really follow real sports that much.
I think it's red and gold now.
Maybe they're red and gold. I know. I mean, I follow enough to know they changed their logo a few years ago to that one with just the basketball with the claw marks as opposed to the actual Raptor mascot guy. But they always used to be purple and red. So
yeah, it's black, white, red, and gold.
Well, I guess I couldn't really just say, Toronto's bleeding red right now because, well, everybody bleeds red. So that doesn't really help any. But no, that's the perfect example right now. Yeah, it would be like them trying to hold a show tonight when there's like an NBA playoff game going on.
Well, especially and the Raptors are the biggest sports team in Canada right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, this is the first time since like 93, I think, we've had a team like in the finals of anything. At least as far as the big three of the Leafs, the Raptors, and the Jays.
Yeah, Rock and FC don't really count.
Which is, kind of unfortunate. Like, soccer's big and everything, but I understand what you're saying. And I'll be honest, since moving to Orangeville, I've really gotten into lacrosse. But I understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea, people would rather watch hockey or whatever, and that's fine. But yeah, so I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but I don't know what else to say. Why would you do this?
I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I think I agree that their best move at this moment would actually just be to change the day.
I'm like driving past a car wreck right now. I'm morbidly curious to see what happens. To see if, as it gets closer to the date, if they switch it. Because the closer it gets to the date, the harder it's going to be to switch it. Not to say that they can't. I mean, TakeOver 25, only like a month ago, got switched from the 8th to the 1st. So, you never know, but it's just, I'm just morbidly curious to see what's going to happen. It's ridiculous. We've gone a lot longer than I thought, actually, today, but time flies when you're having fun, I suppose. And Cole, I had a great time with you today. Thank you very much for coming in to co-host. I will say, you are welcome back anytime, sir.
All right.
I'm still in this kind of limbo-ish sort of area where I'm bouncing between co-hosts, and I don't know what I'm going to do next week, because next week is the big Chinlock 5 event. A number of our hosts are going to be there in Kingston for the Legends Convention and for the Chinlock House of Hardcore match show taking place afterwards. So I'm going to be packing. I got to get ready for that. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might even just have to throw together another solo show. But maybe I can squeeze some time in. I will figure something out between now and then. But speaking of Chinlock, I actually wanted to mention, and of course my notes are not where I need them to be. Be prepared, kids. It always helps to be prepared. There we go. All right, I just wanted to shout out Michael Bensick. He won our newsletter contest, which was very simple. If you don't know, you can go to WrestleMedia.ca. We have a weekly newsletter that we put out. Talks a little bit about what's going on in the world of wrestling, talks about what's going on in the world of WrestleMedia, spotlights a couple of our shows every week. Definitely worth checking out. A little fun thing you can get in your inbox every single week. And you might win something, like aforementioned Michael Bensick. He won floor seats to Chinlock 5. Floor seats. That's the kind of thing you can win just by subscribing to our newsletter. And you do that by going to WrestleMedia.ca. So I just wanted to shout him out. Michael, maybe we'll see you. Hopefully you'll stop by the WrestleMedia booth. We'd love to chat with you and get a couple words about what you think of the Legends Convention. So check us out there. But until then, and until next week, I have been the Jeff DeHaan. He has been Cole Miller. Oh, I almost lost you there. I heard a couple of beeps.
Yeah,
a little R2-D2 action there. So I will start again. I have been the Jeff DeHaan. Once again, Cole Miller, thank you so much for coming in. I had a blast today.
Oh, it was a great time. Nice to actually talk these things through.
Exactly, for sure. Like I said, welcome back anytime you want. Hopefully we'll do this again soon. But until next time, best of luck with your future endeavors.
This has been a presentation of WrestleMedia, where everything is wrestling and wrestling is everything. Here's what you're missing out on right now over at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca.
It almost makes me sad that they won the titles, because I don't know if Andrew has talked to you about this, but we've talked about it before, that we're pretty sure that the NXT tag titles are cursed.
Want more? Sign up now at patreon.com/WrestleMedia.ca.